G'day there guys, Connie here once again from Marquee Industries, and we're back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and also the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Alrighty, let's get right into it. Alrighty, this first one was posted on Am I the A-Hole? It was written by user Wide Trip, and it's titled, Am I the A-Hole for refusing to talk to my ex after everything that happened? I, 34 male, am struggling with whether I'm in the wrong for refusing to talk to my ex, Sarah, 29. There's a lot of history here, and I'll do my best to explain everything clearly. In mid-2022, I met Sarah at work, and we hit it off immediately. I fell for her quickly, and it didn't take long before we started dating. However, early in our relationship, Sarah broke up with me over something minor. To make matters worse, she made a scene in front of everyone at work. I was devastated but didn't want to leave my job at first. Eventually, I realized I still had feelings for her, and seeing her every day became too painful. That's when I decided to quit and find a new job. We lived close to each other, so we bumped into each other frequently over the next few months. We started talking again, but even though I still had feelings for her, I couldn't bring myself to consider getting back together. What she had done had hurt me deeply. After a couple of months, she told me she regretted breaking up with me over something so minor. She admitted that doing it in front of everyone was wrong, and that she'd been thinking about it ever since. She seemed genuinely remorseful, and I could see she meant it. Feeling that her apology was sincere, I asked if she wanted to give our relationship another try. She agreed, and by early 2023, we were officially back together. 1 year later, things were going great. We talked about marriage and building a future together, which made me feel ready to take the next step. I decided to surprise her with a proposal and started working extra hours to save for a house so we could marry not long after. I didn't tell her why I was working so much because I wanted it to be a complete surprise. Then, out of nowhere, she asked for a break. I was blindsided, and when I asked why, she refused to explain. Around the same time, I noticed she'd been talking non-stop about a new guy at her workplace, but suddenly she stopped mentioning him altogether, which made me suspicious. Confused and hurt, I reached out to one of my close friends, Emily, who, along with her boyfriend, still worked at the same place as Sarah. I vented to Emily about what was going on and asked if she knew anything. She said she didn't because she worked in a different department, but she promised to ask around. A few days later, Emily got back to me. She told me that Sarah had been feeling like I was distant lately, especially with me working extra hours and not going out much. Emily said some of Sarah's colleagues had been encouraging her to take a break, claiming I wasn't treating her well and wasn't as invested in the relationship. On top of that, they were trying to match her up with the new guy at work, saying they'd make a better pair. I told Emily about my plans to propose and buy a house for Sarah and me. That was the reason I'd been working so much. I wanted to surprise her with something big. After about 2 weeks, Sarah called me and asked to meet up. I agreed but told her upfront that I needed an explanation for why she wanted a break before we could discuss anything else. She brought up how distant I had seemed, saying it made her feel like I wasn't as invested in the relationship anymore. I told her that if she had just talked to me about it, she would have known there was a reason for my behavior, but now it didn't matter anymore. Then she mentioned the new guy at her workplace. I said his name before she could, and she looked surprised, asking how I knew. I told her I wasn't an idiot. I'd noticed how she suddenly stopped talking about him after bringing him up all the time. She swore that she had never cheated on me. I replied that looking for someone better at the first sign of trouble could be considered cheating by some. At that point, I told her I didn't want to hear whatever else she had to say. Whether or not she wanted to get back together didn't matter. I was breaking up with her regardless. The breakup deeply hurt me. I couldn't bear staying in the same place, so I asked my company for a transfer and used the money I'd saved for the proposal to start over in a new city. While talking to Emily, the friend I'd vented to before, she apologized to me. She admitted that she had slipped up and told Sarah about my plans to propose and buy a house. Emily said Sarah broke down crying after hearing that. I appreciated Emily's honesty, but it didn't change what had happened. By mid-December last year, I returned to my hometown to spend Christmas and New Year's with my family. Some friends wanted to organise a party to get everyone together, since many of us, myself included, had moved away and were only visiting for the holidays. Sarah was invited too. We barely interacted that night, just a quick hi in passing. At one point, I glanced at her and saw her smiling while chatting with a group of women. That smile brought back so many memories. I realised that seeing her smile still made me feel the same way I did the first time I saw it. I thought to myself, how screwed up am I that I still feel this way? Despite those lingering feelings, I was still sad and deeply hurt by how things had ended. Looking back, I also started to blame myself. I should have paid more attention to how she was feeling. I could have told her about the extra work and why I was doing it. Maybe things would have turned out differently. Later that evening, one of my friends mentioned that Sarah's relationship with the guy from her work had only lasted a couple of months. After the holidays, I planned to return to the city where I now lived. My vacation ended on January 6, so I decided to leave on Friday. That way I'd have Saturday to sort everything out at home and prepare for the week ahead, with Sunday to relax before going back to work. Before I left, one of my friends from back home called me. He said he had a favour to ask on behalf of someone else and warned me that I wouldn't like it. I could already feel my stomach sinking. Then he told me it was Sarah. She was moving to the same city where I lived to work at her relative's company, and she needed a ride. He asked if I could take her. I didn't even think about it before I said no. The idea of being stuck in a car with her for hours was too much to bear. It would have been painfully awkward, just like the party, and I wasn't ready to put myself through that. He told me that Sarah and I needed to talk, but I wasn't having any of it. I went back home, and last week I went for a run and stopped to rest a little at a park when I heard a familiar voice say, "Hi." It was Sarah. She tried to start a conversation by asking how I was and mentioning that we didn't get a chance to talk at the party, but I cut her off, saying I didn't want to talk to her. She told me not to be like that we needed to have a conversation, but I said no. She asked how I could still resent her after almost a year and after everything we'd been through, but I told her it wasn't resentment. I was very honest. I told her that thinking about her, talking about her, or even seeing her still hurts a lot, and that's why I couldn't talk to her. She said that was exactly why we needed to talk. I didn't see the point. I just walked away. Since then, Sarah's tried to approach me twice more, and I've shut her down both times. Some of my friends think I'm being too harsh and that I should talk to her for closure. Others say it's not okay to torture her over what happened forever, but that's not what this is about. I don't have any resentment or negative feelings towards her anymore. I even recognize now that I share some of the blame. But it still hurts. I can't talk to her because it's like reopening an old wound that never fully healed. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to talk to her? Opie adds a comment. Thank you all for your advice. I just want to explain better one thing. My friends are not calling me or messaging me saying that I should talk to her. That's just the opinion of some of them when the subject was brought up. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Opie's choice here, and Sarah needs to respect that. Let's go to the comments. I don't think you're an a-hole, but I do think you resent her more than you're willing to admit and haven't actually worked through it internally yet. He replies, you might be right. Sometimes I think I'm totally over it, but then I realize it still haunts me. Some people might say you need closure, but it seems like you've already processed a lot of the situation, and talking to her could just bring up more pain. You don't owe her anything, especially when it's affecting your well-being. You've already made it clear how you feel, and you're setting boundaries, which is important for healing. Opie says, that's what I think, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm not sure. Moving to your city, wanting a ride there when you're trapped in the car with her for hours, ignoring your rejections and being persistent, those are not the actions of someone who wants closure to move on. That is someone trying to wiggle their way back into your good graces. Opie says, good point. Once was a mistake, twice was a lesson, and a third time is you being stupid. That's like watching the same movie but expecting a different ending. Don't do it to yourself. He replies, there won't be a third time. I was already sure about not going back to her, and your guys' comments are helping me make up my mind about not talking to her. Alrighty, Opie updates 6 days later. Hey everyone, I wanted to give an update and thank you all for your input. I took the time to read through every comment, and while I didn't respond to all of them, it was only because I didn't have anything to add. I'm truly grateful for everyone who shared their thoughts. It has been incredibly helpful. After reading everything and thinking it through, I've decided to stick to my decision not to talk to Sarah. Something I forgot to mention in my original post, though I did tell a few commenters, is that I blocked her everywhere after we broke up the second time. Over the last few days, it seems like her persistence has started to backfire. Some of our mutual friends, including the ones who initially told me I should talk to her, have become frustrated with her constant attempts to contact me. Apparently, they've started turning on her because of it. 3 days ago, Emily, the friend I vented to back then, made a post on social media about stalkers. She didn't name Sarah, but a lot of people picked up on what she meant. I've also seen several comments on my original post suggesting that Sarah might have been stalking me. Her job in the same city and her coincidental appearance at the park all line up with that theory. For what it's worth, I know her uncle owns a company here, so maybe that is really why she moved. But honestly, it's not my problem, and I'm not going to look into it. Things have been quieter. Friends have dropped the subject, and Sarah hasn't tried to reach out again. That is, until yesterday. I watched the UFC event with some co-workers. When it ended, I was heading to my car when my phone rang. It was one of our mutual friends calling. She said she'd been talking to Sarah and asked if she could pass along a message. I sighed, but told her to make it quick. The message was simple. Sarah said she understands why I don't want to talk to her. She promised she wouldn't try to reach out again, but added that she still thinks we need to talk. She said the door is open if I ever want to. I told my friend I didn't have a message to pass back and asked her not to bring up Sarah again in our conversations. If what Sarah said is true, it's a relief, but I'm not holding my breath. I wouldn't be surprised if she tries something else. Maybe she thinks giving me space will make me go to her, but it won't. That chapter of my life is closed. Right now, I just want to focus on myself. I probably won't be dating anyone anytime soon. If there's one thing I learned, it's that I need to get to know people better before jumping into a relationship. I've also been thinking about how loosely I use the word friend. That is another part of my life I need to rethink. Some of the people I've called friends have proven that they don't have my best interests at heart. A few people suggested therapy in the comments, and I'll admit it is something I've been considering. For now, I'm giving myself time to heal on my own, but if I still don't feel right after a while, I will look into it. Thanks again to everyone who took the time to comment. Your advice has been a huge help in sorting all this out. One comment says, "Good for you for sticking to your boundaries. It sounds like you're taking positive steps for yourself." Opie replies, "Yes, just moving forward instead of thinking about the past." It sounds like you're doing well and moving on. Keep focusing on yourself and enjoying what you have. If you feel you need counselling, do it when you're ready. Good luck. He replies, "I think now people around me understand my situation and what I truly need. That will help a lot." This is exactly why monkey branching is a terrible dating practice. It's cheating with extra steps. That's why she keeps pushing. She knows what she did, just like she knows what she lost. Yet, ironically, she's too naive to understand that even if you got back together, you don't look at her the same. That's totally understandable. Opie says, "You're right, it would not be the same." Good for you with holding to your boundaries. The moment she wasn't getting the amount of attention she wanted, she sought out a co-worker to monkey branch to. It was cheating. She wasn't remorseful as she began a relationship with that guy. All she wants now is to act like she didn't cheat on you and rekindle your relationship. She's already proven that she will cheat with whoever shows her attention. That's not someone to be in a relationship with. Have you not dated since the breakup? Personally, that helped me get over my ex-wife who cheated. It's been a year. There's someone special out there for you. Not every woman is like your ex. Good luck. He says, "I've dated other women since the breakup, just nothing serious." And now for a new and final update 2 weeks later. There's been no sign of Sarah these past few weeks, and no one's brought her up in conversation either. That's a good thing. Then last Tuesday, February 11th, I got a DM from Sarah's mother. She said she wanted to apologise for her daughter's behaviour and asked me to call her. I've always had a great relationship with Sarah's parents. They're genuinely good people. Even during both breakups, they were always respectful and never overstepped. I didn't really want to talk about Sarah anymore, but I also didn't want to ignore her mother. After thinking it over for a few minutes, I decided I'd call her. However, if she tried to convince me to speak with Sarah or anything along those lines, I'd politely end the conversation. When she answered, she put me on speaker so Sarah's father could join in. I half expected to hear Sarah's voice too, but fortunately that didn't happen. The conversation itself was actually really good. They started by apologising for Sarah's recent behaviour. I immediately told them they had nothing to apologise for, but they insisted, saying they felt it was the right thing to do. They also told me they had no idea what had been going on until recently. Once they found out, they called Sarah and had a long talk with her. Her father admitted that it was the kind of conversation he'd expect to have with a teenager, not an almost 30-year-old woman. Sarah promised them she'd stay away from me and seek therapy. I felt relieved, not just for myself, but for her too. Everything that happened between us wasn't great, but I genuinely wish her the best. I hope she finds happiness. Before we ended the call, I thanked her parents and reiterated how much I respected and admired them. Now I can finally say with certainty that this is over. Sarah would never betray her parents' trust. Thank you all for the advice. It really meant a lot. One comment says, I think it's time to finally move on from all of this. He says, yeah, I've been feeling better lately. So glad to read that, but even if things start to look more peaceful for you, please consider therapy. Sarah hurt you deeply, and not just once. She betrayed your trust and broke your heart in a way that even 1 year later it still hurts. Therapy is just so that you find closure and that your healing process can come to an end if you're ready. Keep in mind that Sarah left you with a lot of emotional baggage that could potentially strain an otherwise healthy future relationship. You deserve happiness, and a therapist might guide you to the point where you can close that chapter on Sarah emotionally. I wish you all the best. Opie says, thanks, I haven't made a decision about that yet. Out of curiosity, how did the parents find out about Sarah's behaviour? They didn't tell me, I didn't ask. My guess, through others. Alrighty folks, and that's the end of that story. Geez, imagine having your parents apologise on your behalf and you're almost 30. That's pretty embarrassing for Sarah. But yeah, it seems Opie did everything right in this situation. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Anyway, we're going to leave that story there and move on to the next one. Alright, moving over to relationships. This one was written by user Kandana and it's titled, My girlfriend thinks I slept with her sister. I was drunk and I'm not even sure if I did or didn't. These past few weeks I've been staying at my girlfriend's house. She lives in the same house as her family, but her parents own another house which they usually live in another city, and that's where they are now. So it's just her and her little sister there. Because I like to spend the nights with my girlfriend, I spend most nights at her house in her bedroom and switch between that and my apartment. We like being together, and my apartment is small and dingy, so that's why it's usually at her place. We kind of had a fight a couple of weeks ago. She went out to a party with her friends and said she wouldn't be that long. I stayed up all night waiting for her, but she didn't come back till next morning. Of course, I was really upset, and I shouldn't have assumed the worst, but I did, and we got into a fight. The same thing happened last night. She promised this time she'd just be a few hours. I know the parties she goes to have boys and girls there. I stayed up all night watching crap on TV waiting for her. I started drinking. One glass of whiskey after another just out of boredom, waiting for her to come back. My mind was circling around, thinking where she could be, why she could be taking so long. I feared she'd not come back till the next morning. Now this part is really fuzzy because I was drunk as hell by this point and I could barely walk. I decided to call it quits and I staggered up to her bedroom to get some sleep. I usually sleep in my underwear, so I got down to my underwear and I was surprised to find she was in bed, or at least I thought it was her. Normally I would have questioned what was going on, but in my drunken state I must have just assumed she got back early and went to bed without me realizing. I remember muttering to her, "I'm sorry I got so mad at you, honey," and kissing her neck and then cuddling her and going to sleep. I have no idea if anything else happened. I don't know if sex happened. I wish I could say it didn't, but I have no memory of the event. The next morning I had a painful as hell headache. I remember waking up to my girlfriend's screams as she walked into the room in the morning. What the hell is going on? I was still dreary and unaware of my surroundings. As I came to, I realized I was lying in bed with her sister. We were both in our underwear cuddling, and her sister was facing me directly. Obviously, it looked bad. My girlfriend was raging. I tried to explain, but the scene itself was incriminating enough. She told me to get out of the house, and she kicked her sister out as well. I have no idea where she went. I was in such an awful state, and my headache was so bad, I barely had any idea what was going on. Painfully, I went back to my home where I've been all day. I've been trying to call my girlfriend. I've not been able to reach her. She's not been responding to any calls. I tried to call her sister once as well to find out what the hell happened, but no response. I honestly have no idea what happened. Did I cheat? Did I have sex with her? How does that even happen? I know for certain I kissed her neck, but I thought it was her. I didn't know it was her sister. Why the hell would she be in her bed? Why didn't she say or do anything? Why was she cuddling me in the morning? What can I do? How can I find out what happened, or at least convince my girlfriend that I didn't cheat, even though I don't even know if I did or didn't? Mate, I think this one's a lost cause. Pack it up, go next. There's no saving this, that's for sure. Let's go to the comments. No matter how much explaining you do, she'll never get over this. Time to just move on and learn how to drink responsibly. Opie replies, "You're telling me. I don't even normally drink that much. I guess I was just feeling abnormally depressed and I was trying to soothe my worries and fears. I don't know if I have an alcohol problem, but I'd be happy to go to AA or any form of rehab if that helps." If I were your girlfriend, I'd never believe this story. Hell, if I were me, I'd never believe this story. It's over. I don't think it's unhealthy to go out without your significant other. I've been doing it for 4 years now, and so does my significant other. It's just a matter of trust, which you clearly don't have if you have to drink alcohol on your own to stop worrying about where she is. Big red flag. If I were your partner, I could not forget what I saw. The relationship is probably over, and it's probably for the best. If you were that drunk and you did have sex, then the sister assaulted you. A person that out of it cannot consent, and you were in the correct bed thinking you were with the correct person. Yeah, it's an interesting point. It's bizarre that the sister didn't say anything. Let's go to an update, 8 days later. Okay, it's taken me almost a week to muster up enough energy to write an update. I wasn't going to, honestly. I didn't see the point. Things have been miserable and my life has been falling apart, but I'm slowly picking the pieces back up. A warning to everyone reading this. This story contains assault. Yes, assault. I'm slowly accepting and living with the fact that I am now a victim of assault. I tried writing this, but it was too confusing, so now I'm re-editing it. I'm going to use girlfriend and girlfriend's sister in all cases to refer to those people to avoid confusion. When I made the last post, I had lost contact with my girlfriend and she was not responding to my calls. I eventually did manage to reach through to girlfriend's sister. She was really upset. She said her sister, the girlfriend, had thrown her out of the house, was threatening her, and not even accepting to talk to her. I talked to girlfriend's sister. I told her she has to tell me exactly what happened, and that it was very important because girlfriend was in danger. She was extremely upset, acting rashly, and could possibly hurt herself. Girlfriend's sister told me she will tell me the whole story, but she made me swear that I wouldn't tell girlfriend. I lied and said yes. From her story, it sounds like she intentionally took advantage of me, knew I was drunk and thought she was her sister, and used it as an opportunity to have sex with me. Apparently we did have sex. After she told me that, some of the memories started faintly coming back to me, and I think I do very, very slightly remember we had sex now. What's worse is she said there was no protection and she was scared of pregnancy. She had a test later, she's not pregnant. I managed to eventually reach through to my girlfriend. I told her the entire story as I've said it here, and in the last post, plus more detailed of course. I told her everything girlfriend's sister had told me. Girlfriend was disgusted this had happened and completely shocked, but she believed me, and she was very apologetic for accusing me of cheating. She told me that I'd been assaulted and it's not something I can just brush off. I told her I didn't feel traumatized or anything by it, but agreed that what happened was assault. Girlfriend became even more furious at her sister for assaulting her boyfriend. She told her to get out of the house, and she hasn't been back in the house since. Girlfriend has sworn that she'll never talk to her again, and from her fury, it sounds like she'll live up to it. She hasn't spoken to her since. We've talked about what happened extensively, and I won't go into details here, but she's been extremely supportive of me because I was taken advantage of and assaulted. She suggested I go to counselling services or something, but I insisted I don't need them. The whole situation was extremely strange and horrific. It feels weird to be a victim of assault. I don't feel much different. I don't feel traumatized, but I'm still aware this thing happened to me where I had control of my body wrested from me. It's a strange feeling. One comment says, the same girlfriend who was going out to parties, saying she'll be home and not showing up until the next morning. Handling one situation well does not make a person awesome. Opie says, well, we talked about that, and she won't go to parties anymore, and I will stop drinking. Well, frankly, cutting off contact when your sibling assaults your partner is a reasonable response. I mean, what, you're going to sit down for Sunday dinners together? My roommate in college was assaulted by a girl who drugged him. It was a horrible situation made worse by the fact she did get pregnant from it. This happens, but there are a lot less resources for guys, made worse by the fact that a lot of people believe men can't be assaulted. It's the male equivalent of she was dressed proactively. The number of assault victims who get blamed for their victimization is horrifying. I knew a guy in college and he told me a story that went like this. I passed out drunk, and when I woke up she was on top of me grinding and I was in her. I kind of pretended to be asleep or fall back asleep, hoping it would end soon. We both kind of laughed about it, but looking back on it, it was obviously assault, and I think he was gay and in the closet, and just very embarrassed about the whole thing. Anyway, I learned that women can be just as creepy as guys. Alrighty folks, and that's the end of that story. Yeah, not a great ending there, but I guess it's good to see that it hasn't affected Opie all that much. I mean, it's reassuring that the girlfriend believed him and is working through it with him, but at the same time, there's a lot of issues here that are unresolved. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Anyway, we're moving on once again. Alrighty, back over to Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Wholesome Ario, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my roommate's boyfriend live with us after he tested me? I, 19 female, live with my roommate, let's call her Ashley, 20 female, in a small 2-bedroom apartment. We've been friends since high school and decided to split rent when we both started college. Things were fine at first, but then she started dating Jake, 22. At first, he was over just a couple of nights a week, which I didn't mind, but over the past few months, he's basically moved in, eating our food, using our stuff, and not contributing a single dime to rent or bills. I finally had enough and told Ashley that Jake either needed to start paying his share or stop practically living here. She apologized and said she'd talk to him. I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward to last week. I was getting ready to head out to a late night study group when Jake cornered me in the kitchen. He told me he wanted to test me to see if I'd be a good person to live with full time. I was confused and asked what he meant. He said that if I wanted him to pay rent, I had to prove I was roommate material by showing I could handle sharing the space with someone like him. He then gave me a list of rules he'd want me to follow if he officially moved in. Things like doing my share of the cooking, even though I already make my own meals, not bringing any guys over. I'm single, but why is that even relevant? And being respectful of his gaming time by keeping the Wi-Fi free during his streams. I laughed in his face and told him there was no way he was moving in. He got ticked and told Ashley I was being unreasonable. She confronted me and said Jake was just testing the waters and that I should have been more open to the idea. She accused me of being jealous because I'm single and suggested I was trying to sabotage their relationship. Now she's saying if I can't be supportive, then maybe she should get a new roommate, one who respects her relationship. I think this is completely insane, but Ashley and a couple of her friends are siding with Jake. They're calling me selfish and controlling. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let him move in after his ridiculous test? Definitely not. I would have laughed in his face as well. One comment says, Not the a-hole. Go to your landlord and explain the situation if Jake continues to live there. He'll be forced to pay rent or leave. Also, remove your name from any utilities. If you pay for the Wi-Fi, change the password and they can buy their own Wi-Fi. Opie says, Will it not risk the whole friendship if I already changed the password? I feel like I would harm them by doing that. Edit, I start to understand now how much they've gaslighted me. There's nothing to risk. She's not a friend if she's all good allowing her boyfriend to push you around in your own place. She replies, I have to admit, my home doesn't feel like a safe place anymore, not even my own room. Opie is the one who signed the lease with Ashley, not Jake. Document everything to show to the landlord. Opie says, thank you for the advice. I'll start to document everything from now on. Any other advice I should do as well? So he thinks he can come in as third wheel and start making demands and stupid rules? Sounds like he's not the roommate material. Tell Ashley that if he's paying 1/3, that doesn't mean he gets priority. How dare he make demands when he's an equal partner in expenses, especially for gaming, for crying out loud. Opie says, yeah, he gets really emotional when it comes to his gaming time. Is this an adult or a 12-year-old child? On to an update 2 days later. Hi everyone, it's been a wild ride since my original post and I wanted to give an update because a lot has happened. First off, I want to thank everyone who commented. It helped me see things in a completely new light. Honestly, I didn't even realize how much I was being gaslighted by Jake and Ashley until I read some of your insights. I thought they were my friends, but now I see how manipulative and toxic their behavior really is. Maybe I just hated the thought of not having any friends, but who needs enemies with these kinds of friends? Not gonna lie, it still breaks my heart to realize this, and I cried a lot. But that doesn't change anything. I don't know why I'm saying this, it's just been a really emotional few days, please forgive my rant. Since our confrontation, Jake has gone full victim mode. He's been telling mutual friends that I'm trying to ruin his life and kick him out of his girlfriend's apartment. Let me remind you, this man doesn't pay rent or contribute to any bills, so calling it his girlfriend's apartment is already laughable. He's been painting me as some controlling, jealous monster who can't handle his straightforward personality. Meanwhile, Ashley is eating it up and defending him, saying I'm overreacting and causing unnecessary drama. What's worse is that I've started noticing just how much control Jake has over Ashley. She's completely bought into his narrative and is now acting like I'm the enemy. For example, she told me last night that my attitude is making it hard for them to feel comfortable in their own home. Their home. This apartment is 50% mine, but suddenly, I'm being treated like an unwelcome guest. I've decided I've had enough. I've already documented everything. His constant presence, his freeloading, and now his smear campaign. I'm reaching out to my landlord this week. Most leases have clauses about long-term guests, and Jake has definitely overstayed his. As for Ashley, I don't know if there's any saving our friendship. I'm heartbroken because I thought she cared about me, but now I realize she's supporting Jake's abusive behavior. Thank you to everyone who opened my eyes to what was really happening. I'll post another update once I've spoken to my landlord and taken further action. For now, I'm just trying to reclaim my space and my peace of mind. Also, I really want to thank you for just caring and being there. This is what I needed to hear, and you all were honest and fair with me. I'm very grateful for the support I got that I couldn't get anywhere else, so thank you. One comment says, good for you, don't take any more crap from them. I won't, thank you. Opie needs to stand up for herself and get her living space back. She says, I realized the night after I posted that I didn't feel safe anymore without a locked door. That was my sign I really needed to listen to the advice. Good luck. Unfortunately, Jake seems like a good manipulator, so he might have gotten Ashley on board with his narrative. Doesn't mean she is without guilt, it just means she might have started as a friend, but even if she isn't that now, I'd look for your own apartment. As long as they're in your life, your home will unfortunately not be a safe zone. Good luck with everything. She replies, yes, I think she got blinded by love. I'm in no place or mood to judge her. I'll probably move out and see if my friendship to her can remain. I don't plan to see Jake anymore. Yeah, good idea. Now for a new and final update. Hi everyone, I wanted to come back with a final update now that everything has been resolved. It's been a whirlwind, but I can finally say that I'm in a much better place, and I'm so grateful to everyone who supported me along the way. After my last update, I contacted the landlord and explained the situation. Turns out, Jake had violated the guest policy in our lease by staying over so often. The landlord was understanding and firm. Jake couldn't stay overnight anymore, and if Ashley wanted to add him to the lease, we'd need to renegotiate everything, including his share of the rent and utilities. When I shared this with Ashley, she was furious at first. She accused me of trying to sabotage her relationship, and even said I was acting petty. But as the reality of the situation set in, something shifted. I think for the first time, she saw how much Jake's presence had disrupted our lives, and how much it had hurt me. To my surprise, Ashley apologized. She admitted that she'd been blinded by her feelings for Jake and hadn't considered how unfair her actions were. She said she needed to reevaluate things with him and asked for some space to think. Over the next week, Jake stopped coming over. Ashley and I had a long, heartfelt conversation, and for the first time in weeks, it felt like I was talking to my old friend again. She admitted that Jake's controlling behavior wasn't sitting right with her anymore, and that she felt like she'd been losing herself trying to please him. And here's the best part. Ashley broke up with Jake. She realized he was manipulative and toxic, not just to me but to her as well. She thanked me for standing my ground and helping her see the situation clearly. We're still working on rebuilding our friendship, but things feel so much lighter now that he's out of the picture. The apartment is peaceful again, and I've even started redecorating to make the space feel more like home. Ashley and I are taking things one day at a time, but we've both agreed to prioritize communication and respect moving forward. I know not every story ends this way, but I'm so grateful mine did. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me to stand up for myself. It made all the difference. Without you, I would be living in hell now. P.S. I kept the lock though. One comment says, "It's wonderful that your friendship with Ashley has been salvaged and that you're both committed to building a healthier and more respectful living environment. Enjoy your peaceful apartment and redecorated space." Love trash day. Good riddance to bad rubbish. Whoa, the gaslighting best friend apologizes when faced with boundaries and consequences, and broke up with the a-hole, and the a-hole didn't go scorched earth and stalk OP? Am I in the right sub? How refreshing. My best guess? Ashley vented to someone just tangentially connected to them and the person tore her a new one, or she talked with her parents about the landlord issue and it didn't end well. I have a hard time believing this change of heart came from reflection alone, not because she's a bad person, but simply because, unfortunately, people in toxic relationships tend to need a hell of a reality check. Yeah, ain't that the truth? And yeah, breath of fresh air like that comment said. I thought I wasn't on Reddit for a second there. What are your thoughts about this one? Plenty to say, I'm sure. Let me know down below. Otherwise, we're moving on once again. Alright, we're going over to Petty Revenge for a quick one. This one was written by user Darling Darcy, and it's titled, "Tesla drivers hogging the chargers in my building? No more free charging for you." So I live in a wonderful mixed-use building, and it's been great. Lovely amenities and decent tenants and even free electric car charging. This was simple and easy for the last 2 years, and out of nowhere, more and more Tesla people moved in, bringing their swastikas with them. And it's like, oh okay, it's like 20 EVs sharing 4 chargers. No biggie, because most tenants respect the building's 4-hour limit rule, which should bother no rational person that understands not everything is about them. However, Tesla drivers are a different breed, and a few of them think that those rules don't apply to them, whether it's because they have a bigger car, or they have kids, or whatever excuse they have for hogging the chargers day and night whenever they can. Yeah, they have bigger batteries and need longer charging, but 4-hour limit is 4-hour limit. It wouldn't be fair if someone in an on-site laundromat hogged all the washers and dryers all day long, would it? Who gives a crap their reasons for hogging the chargers? But wait, this gets interesting. So recently the guest level parking charger stopped working. Something's wrong and nobody can get it to work. Now we're down to the one downstairs and that's it. Remember, each charger has 2 points, so it's now 2 charging cables for over 20 EVs, and some malicious Tesla drivers among them. I decided to leave a note one night on the charger itself because of said malicious Tesla driver decided to charge both their cars the entire afternoon into the evening, taking up all the chargers, which others need to use to get to our jobs and whatnot. It simply said the 4-hour limit applies to everyone. However, the next morning I went to charge and found the note ripped up with a portion left with a reply written, "Say it to my face." And since then it's just been a race to the chargers before 4 PM to avoid the greedy Teslas who come and take them the whole afternoon and night. Sometimes they win, sometimes the rest of us do. More recently, someone else left a note as well, addressing their behaviour, saying, "Please consider other drivers need to use these too," and the reply left on it was, I saw you on my cameras. I wouldn't consider crap. So I took this up to the top. I took that note and the photos of my ripped up note and sent them not only to the property manager, but to the regional manager for the property management company itself, who have many more buildings throughout the country. They got back to me and I informed them that not only was this charger not working and this hogging was happening, which was of mild concern, but then I decided to use my nuclear option and told them that their EV chargers hadn't been charging anyone any money. This really got their attention, and I found out they're about to replace these chargers entirely with new updated ChargePoint chargers that will start charging tenants money after 4 hours. Even if it's the customary $3 to $4 per hour, this will add up for the Teslas hogging the chargers all day and overnight. Now you might be thinking, this will affect me too, but my partner and I are dinks first of all, but also my EV doesn't take long, it's tiny. I only need at most like 3.5 hours to charge to full usually. Basically, unless I'm an inconsiderate a-hole, I won't get charged ever. That's the very definition of petty revenge. One comment says, here in London, the on-street car chargers charge a standard rate until your car is charged, but once your car stops charging while still plugged in, they charge £1 per minute. I don't drive an EV, but I imagine even the Porsche Taycan drivers don't like paying that £1 a minute. Opie replies, hold up, per minute? Wow, that's aggressive, but I like it. If they did $1 per minute after full charge here, people would gnash their teeth. Ironically enough, it's mostly Tesla drivers doing the most complaining about the cost to charge anywhere. Their reviews on PlugShare and the ChargePoint app are always complaining about cost, and it's like over $1 or $2. So much for supposedly looking like a baller in that golf cart with doors. Yeah, like you're probably saving thousands in fuel every year, but you still have the gall to complain about a couple bucks. Get out of here. Anyway guys, that's it for that story, and that's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories, thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.